Well, let's crack on with the main event. You know what it's time for?
What?
It's time for the behind-the-scenes exclusive stuff
she loves
of the James Bond Casino Royale movie. We've got a new Bond car, and a back-to-basics approach. Casino Royale is the defining James Bond story, and the producers have set out to make it as realistic as possible. There's no fancy CGI, just a hard-as-nails Bond, and stripped-down raw action, and unfeasibly large explosions, of course. We were invited to Karlovy Vary in the Czech Republic to see principal filming and the actual Casino Royale, and given unprecedented access to the set.
Hello, Fifth Gear. This is Michael Wilson, producer of the Bond film, Casino Royale. Welcome to our set. I hope you enjoy the film.
The new Bond car is an Aston Martin DBS. It doesn't go on sale until the spring, but he's got his early. A sportier version of the DB9, exact details have been marked top secret, but we do know it's rear-wheel drive, has carbon fibre bodywork, comes with a 6-speed manual and a 6-litre V12. Most of the driving in the film will be done by Daniel Craig and his stunt double Adam Curley, but they weren't just chucked the keys.
Myself and Daniel went away for a day, and we had a day basically with the Aston Martin people. It's mainly the clutch control that they're interested in. It's very rear happy. It'll sort of step out on you quite easily.
While on location, the man from Aston tasked with looking after Bond's car is Paul Waite.
When we started shooting, did a bit of driving work for Daniel Craig on some of the rehearsals, and just talked him through, and anything that he was feeling unsure about or wanted to know about the Aston, I was able to actually just step in there and help him, or as the case was, having to put a shirt and tie on and having to actually sit in the car and pretend to be him. I was told I didn't need the wig.
The Vanquish in Die Another Day was laden with gadgets, rockets and adaptive camouflage that made it disappear. But director Martin Campbell has decided the DBS, like the plot, should go back to basics.
To be honest, I didn't buy the invisible car thing. I thought it was pushing the envelope too far. Maybe we're going back the other way a little bit now. It's much more back to the early Bonds, simply because it's based on the novel.
In charge of filming the DBS is Alex Witt, the Chilean second unit director who's worked on Black Hawk Down and The Bourne Identity. He showed us some early rushes of driving shots.
So this is a helicopter shot. You probably won't see the car. On the big screen, you're going to see the car in the background. So this is just a different angle here. A little more sensation of speed because of the trees in the foreground. And the car looks good. It's a very soft and backlight.
It's hard to hear the glorious wail of the V12 when you're filming from a helicopter, so Oscar-winning sound mixer Chris Munro has to step in.
You know, the sound of the car is going to be important. So we'll take it around tracks and we'll do things with it, and we'll plant different microphones in different places on the car, you know, to try and get the best sound of the car. And then we'll build up a whole library of how the car sounds. So whenever you see the car, we'd always want to use a different sounding track and a track that, you know, makes the car sound exciting.
Now, you'd expect a scene like this, where several cars and extras have to be coordinated to take many attempts. But just as much effort goes into relatively straightforward shots. For times when Bond is behind the wheel, the car is mounted on this enormous tracking vehicle, leaving the actors free to act and not worry about driving for real. Stand-ins are used so that the second unit can rehearse the shot.
Okay, looking around, looking out the windows, ready, and look.
Even a 2-second head turn with no dialogue takes 3 or 4 hours preparation. When director Martin Campbell, Daniel Craig and Bond girl Ava Green arrive, it can be filmed as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, the DBS comes to a sticky end relatively quickly. The high-powered nitrogen cannon fires the car into 7 tumbles. Adam the stuntman, definitely shaken. Luckily, the DBS isn't Bond's only car in the film.
We've had Bond driving the DB5 off and on as his private car. And we thought it'd be fun to kind of explain how he actually got it. And so we have an episode in the film where he acquires one through his superior poker play.
One of the film's biggest stunts is set at Miami Airport, but it was filmed at an old airfield in Surrey, and again, our cameras were the only ones invited behind the scenes. During a climactic chase, this tanker will crash through this bendy bus full of people. So how do they do that then?
Our impact zone is literally that bit underneath that back window behind the split. We've got dummies in the back because that's obviously where we're impacting. We've got real people in the front. So obviously dangers are, you know, if anything went wrong with a tanker on the way in and he sort of veered off, it could be quite messy, but it won't.
The special effects team have added some mechanical modifications to help the bus spin round and fly through the air when it's hit.
That's Paul who's basically built all this. If you want to feast your eyes on the young chap over there. Paul, wave to the camera. Hello. That's Paul. There and there we've got these hydraulic wheels that come down to help it spin. There's a huge cylinder inside with a pipe that goes to this ram. They hit the button. Inside that ram there's a huge piece of wood. That fires down. As that fires down, that will lift this up in the air. The tankers are sort of all been lightened. The tank on the back is obviously just hollow. It's just a lightweight alley frame. Inside the cab, it's all been strengthened. We've got thick plates on the floor, big roll cage in there. Basically what the driver will do, he won't sit upright when he goes through it, he will actually lay down.
To complete the effect, small charges are discreetly positioned in the corners of the windows, which will fire pistons that shatter the glass. They're triggered sequentially by running a metal bar down a switch box. With such complex preparations, it's crucial the action is captured properly, so more than one camera will be used. 2 will look from behind, 2 from in front, and there'll be 1 on a tracking vehicle travelling slightly slower than the tanker, so its view is never blocked. 1 camera is attached to a crane, operated by remote control so that it can be precisely located for the best angle. Major details are marked on a monitor, making it obvious if the camera drifts out of position. The final camera is on board the bus, which will be switched into record wirelessly, and just in case things weren't tense enough, the signal didn't seem to be that strong. Rehearsals are crucial to practice the timing of the stunt. The drivers need to consistently accelerate to hit their marks at the right time. And, of course, there's no room for hesitation. What separates a stunt driver from the rest of us is that when they hear action, they go. Take time for a second thought and you ruin the shot, the stunt, and your colleagues. Driver of the tanker, Lee Morrison, had the toughest job, hurtling towards his mates at 50 miles an hour. Understandably, he preferred to focus on the job in hand rather than talk to us. Final checks were made. The whiplash-saving neck brace was covered in coffee granules so it wouldn't show up on camera. The surface was wetted down so skid marks from rehearsals were covered. Huge fans were driven around to get rid of the growing mist. Bond was put in place and the explosive charges were primed.
Special effects always ask everyone to turn off their mobile phones because it has been known for a phone to ring and the radio waves actually set the charges off.
Right, so this all clear back.
It had taken 1 week of rigging to get to this point, all for a sequence that will last a few seconds in the film. If anything went wrong, it would take another week before they could do a second take. With everything set and the cameras rolling, the director was about to shout action when disaster struck, a mechanical problem with the bus. The rest of the crew waited nervously while the bus technicians tried to fix the breakdown. After what seemed an age, the bus was once again ready to roll. Everyone took their place and waited for their cue. Only it didn't come. Once again, the stunt was aborted. The problem this time? The director was concerned that some of the crew could be seen in shot. Everyone was told to move back, and they scuttled off, dragging whatever equipment they could grab to clear the scene. Finally, with everything and everyone accounted for, the stunt was given the green light. attention turned to see if Lee, the tanker driver, was safe. After a few tense seconds, he emerged unscathed. Now it was time for the whole crew to crowd round the monitors anxiously and watch the action replays. All the cameras record onto a hard disk which can be instantly accessed. At first glance, it looks like a complete success. The nitrogen cylinder fired the bus into the air and the dummy wheels let it spin round. But if you look closely, it appears from some angles that the bus launches into the air before it's hit. With a half-second delay between pressing the trigger and the nitrogen cannon firing, you have to anticipate the impact. And this time, the anticipation wasn't quite right. While the clear-up began, the shots were couriered overnight to Venice, where director Martin Campbell could analyse the footage. And sure enough, 1 week later, they had to go through the whole thing again, this time successfully. It may seem a lot of effort for just a few seconds of film, but it is well worth it. We'd rather see spectacular live action like this than dodgy computer-generated effects.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. That's a wrap for tonight. Thank you.
I could spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, watching anything to do with James Bond. Behind-the-scenes movies, anything.
Daniel Craig, is he a good Bond? You haven't seen it yet,
have you? No. Jury's out for the time being.
What do you think, though? What's your inkling?
I think it'll be good.
Will he be as good as the ultimate, Roger Moore?
Sean Connery.
Roger Moore. Right. And Vicky will be doing a very special, unique homage to the Bond cast stunts later in the show. It's good. Don't miss it. Welcome back to Fifth Gear, and now it's time for Vicky to recreate this.
Woo! That is exactly what happened.
Really?
Yeah.
This is our Bond car. A Mercedes 230e that's just nudging 300,000 miles. We've had it adapted by the real Q branch, the same stunt engineers who work on the James Bond movies. Today, we're going to film our very own Bond stunt. Inside is an ejector seat. It launches from 0 to 30 miles an hour in 1 second, firing the seat and its occupant through a cardboard roof 35 feet into the air.
So this is it, the ejector seat?
That's the seat.
Can you, like, buy them off the shelf or something?
No.
Stacked up somewhere?
That's it, yeah, they're purpose-built for each car because of the angle. If you look in the back, you can see the actual cylinder here, which it's fired by.
God, it's like a rocket on the back.
That's it, and there's a guide rail to stop the seat twisting, because as it leaves the car, the last thing you want is the feet to come round and kick you.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
You want it to rise vertically and straight through the car. It looks quite a standard seat when you're getting in the car.
Yes, it does,
you could be fooled.
What car is it from? No, let me guess. It's not from a Mercedes, is it?
No.
I'm thinking of Vauxhall.
Yes.
If I sit in it, I'm not going to
Yes, you can. No, it's completely safe.
It's really disconcerting. If I actually did it for real, I would die, wouldn't I?
It wouldn't be recommended, no.
I'm quite nervous about this because the bang is going to blow my eardrums apart.
It's a considerable bang, but you have got the macrolon defence between you and that explosion, or not an explosion, an escape of nitrogen.
Yeah, but the sound surely is going to filter through to my side when I'm driving.
You have Casimir defenders. The windows will be left open to stop any build-up of pressure inside the cabin, because the last thing you want is build-up of pressure which could blow the windows. That'll also increase the noise.
Yeah.
There will be a noise that goes through the roof, but the roof has been weakened to reduce that noise. So we've done everything we can to make it as safe and as comfortable as possible for you.
Comfortable?
But it is still an experience.
It was an experience I wasn't quite ready for, so before filming our stunt, I wanted to see this seat in action.
If I get out of your way.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, well done, well done!
After seeing the seat working, I was happy-ish to sit in and take the controls. To do the stunt justice, we wanted to film a mini-movie sequence, so we talked our meanest-looking director into becoming a baddie for the day and created a weak plot where I was forced to drive the secret car into a secret area before letting him know about my own little secret, the ejector seat. But of course we weren't going to fire him through the roof, as it would cost far too much in compensation. So another dummy was brought back and dressed in the same way. I must admit, I was nervous before the stunt. The seat was pressurised and action was called.
Action!
Okay, Mr. Villain. Sayonara.
My ears hadn't burst! The final shot of our movie sequence was a success. So now it's time to sit back and watch the final cut.
Wow. Was that real or was it acting?
Oh, thanks a lot. I was actually acting, but even if I'd been rubbish at acting, well, it never stopped Roger Moore, did it?
Don't knock Roger Moore. He was the best Bond. Right, join us next week when